All right, I'm Trevor Williams with Global Atlanta, and we're here with Tom Glaser. We're doing a little experiment here on some Israeli technology called UVU. Tom, great to have you with us.
Hey, thanks, Trevor. Good. Glad to be here, and especially through the magic of Israeli video conferencing technology.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, UVU is up for some sort of award with the American Israel Chamber.
Yes, they've been nominated and are a finalist for the Israeli Company of the Year recognition at this year's Eagle Star Awards Gala, which will be on Wednesday, May 12th at Georgia Pacific. And an exciting company that has its some U.S. operations here in Atlanta, and they're one of three finalists for that category. Israeli Company of the Year. We're also have three finalists for the Deal of the Year category, which are also exciting.
Well, we'll be glad to cover that, and we'll look forward to that definitely. But we're here today to talk about your mission to Israel, and you recently returned from a life sciences mission. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Well, we had a really great mission to Israel that was the week of April 12th. We got back to Atlanta on April 17th. There were 11 of us in the delegation. Core group was from Emory University, Emory Health Services, led by Dr. Ray Shanazi, who is a very preeminent scientist at Emory, professor of pediatrics, and also co-discoverer of the very famous HIV drug that is now being used by patients around the world.
Sounds like a big group. Is this something that came out of an existing kind of collaboration between Atlanta and Israel in the education sphere, or is this something that you're trying to drum up? Is this a new focus for the chamber?
Well, if you're talking about Emory as an educational institution, I think that's what you're referring to. We weren't really looking so much as an educational institute, but more as a center of life science, technology, and medical treatment. That's the relationship that we were hoping to build as a result of this mission, and I think we've successfully done that. I think the Emory people who were with us on the trip, you'd have to speak to them directly, but I think to a person they would tell you how impressed they were with the Israeli universities that we met with their counterparts at all the leading Israeli life science universities, including Weizmann Institute, Tel Aviv University, Hadassah Hebrew University, the Technion, and so on, all the leading institutions where there are active hospitals and medical centers where these innovations are being tested and applied. And we also met with probably 40 Israeli medical device companies and biotech companies that were looking for collaborations either through Emory or with our connections here at the Chamber in Atlanta and the Southeast.
What are some of the connections that exist already in the life sciences industry between Israel and the Southeast?
Well, we have a long track record of both Israeli companies that have established their U.S. operations here in Atlanta. For example, a very well-known one is Given Imaging, which, by the way, is also a finalist for Israeli Company of the Year at the Eagle Star Awards Gala. Given Imaging is the well-known groundbreaking developer of the PillCam, which is really redefined endoscopy for the gastrointestinal field. The North American headquarters is here in Atlanta. The corporate headquarters is in Yokneam, Israel. Very successful medical device company. Nancy Souza, our medical committee chair, was the president of the North American division that's what brought her originally to Atlanta. She has also worked with Mazor Surgical Technologies, another Israeli medical device company, in robotic-assisted surgery for spinal and neurology applications. We have another Israeli device company here called Alpha Omega Engineering. So those are Israeli companies that have set up shop here, others who have done clinical trials here. For example, one of the Deal of the Year candidates for EcoStar is an Israeli company called Pluristem, which is a cell therapy company that's doing its clinical trials in Birmingham, Alabama, and at Duke in Durham, North Carolina. We've also been involved in mergers and acquisitions. We introduced several years ago an Israeli company called Medcon to McKesson, which is really one of our largest healthcare technology companies in Atlanta. They acquired that Israeli company for over $100 million. So the applications and the relationships are deep and rich, and we'd like to continue to promote those kinds of things and encourage collaboration by the life science companies here in Atlanta and the Southeast with Israeli companies that are creating these really innovative technologies. And at the same time, encourage the Israeli companies that when it's time to launch their product and their service in the United States, that we've got the place to do it. And by the way, Atlanta, of course, is the center, but we have other very, very well-known communities in the Southeast. For instance, Memphis has been a magnet for Israeli orthopedic device companies. Birmingham, through Health South, has attracted Israeli companies in rehabilitation technologies. And of course, in Research Triangle, they've been very effective at dealing with pharmaceutical biotech companies. So we've got a really nice range of offerings here when we look at it as both Atlanta and Georgia and the entire state.
It seems that Israel is somewhat of a hotbed for innovative technologies across sectors, but especially in healthcare, IT, medical devices, et cetera, some of the things that you've been talking about. I was wondering, how do you think that develops, and what can Atlanta learn from that?
Well, I'd like to recommend a book to you and your readers and your viewers called Startup Nation, The Story of Israel's Economic Miracle. It's a fantastic business book which addresses that issue, really. How did the Israelis become the number one place in the world for entrepreneurial innovation, and what can we learn from them? And there are a whole series of lessons, but I guess a long story short is that Israel is a hotbed not only of developing technologies, but also creating businesses around them. It involves venture capital, it involves government support, it involves incubators. But ultimately, to become successful companies, these Israeli entrepreneurs from day one start thinking globally, and the U.S. is their major market, and navigate the U.S. market. We can provide a lot of support to them, which we do. Healthcare is certainly one of the key areas. There are others, software, telecommunications, security, clean tech, around which we also have dedicated committees. Healthcare IT, we think, is a great opportunity. In fact, with IBM, we have organized the U.S.-Israel Healthcare IT Business Exchange, which will be here in Atlanta June 8th and 9th, and we will be inviting about 20 Israeli companies to come here and meet with potential strategic partners, investors, and customers. They know Atlanta really is the world center for healthcare IT. We've got some, besides McKesson, we've got probably another 99 or 100 companies in that field that are headquartered here. And we think for the Israeli companies, this is a national event, but certainly just in the local area, we believe we can attract 25 or 30 companies to meet the 20 Israeli companies.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Well, my pleasure, and we look forward to sharing news always first with Global Atlanta. We consider you guys a great resource.
Great, and maybe next time we'll do Uvu from Israel to the U.S.
Yeah, easily. You can do it anywhere in the world.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Take care.